So, you want to learn how to flashlight save your fellow survivors. With this helpful video, I will give you the information you need to improve your flashlight skills, and with a little practice, you'll be saving your teammates in no time at all. Hi, I'm Linux, and without further ado, let's get started. This is probably the most difficult part of a flashlight save. Getting yourself into the best position possible to make the save. Killers try to avoid flashlight saves by looking directly at a wall or a tall object, or they'll try to face towards the outer perimeter of the map due to the fact that survivors generally won't be in that area, aside from some immersed newbies. Do your best to stay hidden until the pickup animation begins. Don't show yourself too soon, because the killer may try to bait out any survivors waiting for a save. And sometimes you have to be patient. In the clip you're watching now, this Wesker searches around for almost an entire minute before finally deciding to pick up. Sure, I could have been doing a gen and helping out the team during this time, but that's not what this video is about. A perk that can help you tremendously in these situations, especially if you're injured, is Iron Will. Iron Will suppresses the noise your survivor makes by up to 75%. This alone makes it one of the strongest survivor perks in the game, and it also makes it very helpful for situations where you are in fact going for a save. It does, however, disable when your survivor is exhausted. In this situation, I figured Wesker would try to face away from the cottage since Fung was there. Luckily, my prediction was correct, and I was able to save Cheryl. There will be many times where you don't see the killer and survivor directly. Instead, you'll have to keep an eye on the down survivor's aura. When the survivor is picked up, their butt will be pointed in the direction the killer is facing. You'll then be able to quickly determine whether or not you should go for the save or bail from the situation entirely. I'm sure you've witnessed several instances where you're the downed survivor, and you'll see a Mikaela running up and shining their flashlight at the back of the killer's head. You sigh, she runs away, and then the killer proceeds to carry you off to a cozy hook waiting to impale you. Don't be that Mikaela. If you recognize that you can't get the flashlight save, just leave and preserve your battery. Now, there are a few killers with completely different pickup animations, but we'll get into that shortly. For now, watch the survivor's aura. Now, we get into the meat and potatoes of the video, the timing. If you really want the breakdown of the time it takes for the pickup animation, Super Aaron Nova has a fantastic video that goes more in depth than this one, which I highly recommend checking out. But I'm going to show you how I time flashlight saves. I'm joined by my three friends, Lev, Kino, and Skittles, to demonstrate. Now personally, I like to think of the pickup animation as two separate animations, ground to hip, then hip to shoulder. You want to start your blind right as the survivor is being lifted from the hip to the shoulder. If you blind the killer too soon, they won't drop the survivor. They'll just wander around aimlessly with their eyes pointed towards the sky until the blindness subsides. But if you blind too late, then they'll be able to look away before the flashlight beam even finishes narrowing. With this latest chapter release, Behavior also added a little more leeway to the pickup animation to be more forgiving for survivors going for the killer grasp rescue, and in my own personal opinion, this was completely unnecessary, but players are constantly having to adapt to changes introduced to the game, and this is just another one of them. On top of that change, Behavior also removed locker saves from the game. However, saves when the survivor is grabbed are still possible, whether that be grabbed off of a generator, a window, during the unhook animation, and, funnily enough, although locker saves are removed, The survivor can still be saved via flashlight if the killer grabs them while they are exiting the locker. When it comes to grab saves, you want to start your blind once the survivor is on the killer's shoulder. Unless, of course, we're talking about killers that don't carry the survivor on their shoulder, like Nemesis here. Remember earlier when I mentioned killers with alternate pickup animations? Those that differ the most are Nemesis, Sadako, and Dredge. Blight and Demogorgon's animations are slightly altered as well, because they lean down and immediately put the survivor on their shoulder, and then stand up as if they're performing squats at the gym. So, you want to start the blind as they begin to stand up, like so. Nemesis and Dredge both carry the survivor under their arm, as if the survivor were acting up in a movie theater and need to be taken outside to calm down. While the timing is still the same, the animation can take some getting used to, so you might have to practice that a little bit. It still throws me off from time to time. And then there's Sadako, otherwise known as the Onryo. When she picks up a survivor, she first brings them up to their knees and then puts them on her shoulder. You'll want to position yourself in front of her and start the blind right before the survivor's knees come up off of the ground. Now, you may be thinking, but Lennox, you've shown us the auras, the timing, and all that jazz. But what about aiming the flashlight properly? The best advice that I can give you is, if you have time to set up your save, stand a few meters away from the killer and line your character's neck up with where the killer's head will be. Then when it's time, start your blind. Regardless of which direction your character is facing, when you click the flashlight, they'll automatically turn to face the direction that your camera is pointed. You're not always going to have time to set up your flashlight save, so I would advise practicing by blinding the killer at pallets to get used to the aim. Then, over time, aiming the flashlight will just become second nature to you. I hope that this video has helped you learn the basics of flashlight saves. A special thank you to my good friends Lev, Kino, and Skittles for helping me out. You can catch me live on twitch.tv/Lennox_McDuff. And until then, adios and take care, everyone.